What's going on, friends? Welcome back to Forward Progress, live here on the Forward Progress YouTube channel, part of the Hammer Betting Network, and powered by Pinnacle Sportsbook. I'm producer Jason, your host, every Friday on the Forward Progress YouTube channel. Today, we will be joined by none other than Matthew Freedman of the Fantasy Life, Jack Miller from Establish the Run, and John Laghezza of The Athletic to talk some props and get you ready for that beautiful Sunday slate that we all know and love. And guys, last week, we appreciate the interaction in the chat. If you guys want to drop your plays in there, we'll be hitting on them throughout the show. So feel free to drop your plays in the chat. You just have to be subscribed. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, ring that notification bell. It really goes a long way here. And before I bring the crew on, one thing to get out of the way, we, of course, would not be out here without our sponsors over at Pinnacle. Pinnacle is the world's sharpest sportsbook and available to bettors in Ontario. Offering competitive odds for 25 years. We love to preach line shopping on this channel. And with everyday competitive odds, Pinnacle should be one of your available outs. If you're looking to support the show, make sure you use code HAMMER when signing up to Pinnacle, your trusted sportsbook for 25 years. Bet smart, bet Pinnacle. Must be 19 plus in Ontario. Please play responsibly. And not available in the U.S. Guys, joining us right now, you know him, you love him, Matthew Freedman from the Fantasy Life, Jack Miller from Establish the Run, and John Laghezza from The Athletic. Guys, let's just get right into it here with the Thursday night football matchup. I mean, this past week, it was hilarious. We saw some discourse on Twitter talking about Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson and comparing the two. And I mean, some people were arguing that Wilson is having a, let's say, better season. And obviously that argument was put to rest very quickly last night. Chiefs dominated the Broncos on Thursday night football. And my question to you guys, let's start with John here. The Broncos are sitting here 1-5. They're looking to move off a couple pieces. That's what the rumors are. Maybe Jerry Jeudy, maybe Courtland Sutton, some guys on the defensive side of the ball here. Their next three games are very tough. They play the Packers, who, funnily enough, with the weird scheduling clerk, will only play one game over 21 days. And then, I mean, Packers with a lot of rest, the Chiefs, and then against the Bills. All tough defenses there. I mean, early on the season, this D looked incredibly porous for the Denver Broncos. I kind of looked at them at maybe being an over team. But I mean, with such tough competition in the future, with the state of their franchise right now, are you going to be avoiding them taking their overs from here on out? Or are they just straight under team to you? John, we'll start with you.
I mean, the prices and the lines are always going to dictate that. But from a macro standpoint, it's over. The Broncos, it's over. It's a young man's game. You invested in mortgage your future for an old man quarterback and an old man coach that the game might have already passed by. And now the Broncos, without the picks and all the the resources that you need to build something bright and beautiful going forward, those coffers are empty. It's an absolute S show. You could really forget the Broncos. Finally, the offense was playing good. The defense was historically bad. Then the defense finally kind of gummed up against the Chiefs, and the offense was nowhere to be found. It's a dumpster fire. Marvin Mims, again, nowhere to be found. Put him on the milk carton. We have no idea what's going on. The Broncos are a disgrace. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's not looking too good here. And they're looking to move off these receivers here. Jack, I mean, you're a fantasy guy. You're also a betting guy. But for fantasy purposes, let's quickly talk here. Other than Courtland Sutton, are you just plugging your nose and starting any of these guys like Jerry Jeudy or Marvin Mims going forward? Or are you just staying off them until they prove otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tough too. Jeudy is still in line for pretty decent volume, but it seems like he's probably going to be traded before the deadline. Or maybe not probably, but it seems like he has a good chance to be traded before the deadline. So that's something to watch probably. And then with the other guys, I mean, you cannot really start Marvin Mims right now. He's played 12 snaps last night. That was a season low. And then the running back, it looks like a three-headed backfield all of a sudden with Jaleel McLaughlin becoming a big factor there. Samaje Perine has the pass downs. Javonte and Jaleel McLaughlin are going to split the early downs. So it is kind of a mess. Sutton and Jeudy look like the two guys that maybe have some fantasy relevancy. Greg Dulcich, maybe once he gets a little bit more up to speed. He was coming off the hamstring injury yesterday, and then he hurt his hamstring again. So we'll see what his health looks like moving forward. But yeah, I'm with John here. It's definitely not a good outlook here for Denver.
Yeah, and if you own Courtland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy in fantasy, you're praying that they get traded. But man, Steve Smith, if you own Jerry Jeudy, you're shaking your head at that one. If no one saw on Twitter, you got to check out what Steve Smith had to say about Jerry Jeudy. I won't repeat it on the show here. But Matt, one more question for you here. Jack, you brought this up about the running backs. And I mean, we know how Sean Payton likes to utilize his running backs in the past with the New Orleans Saints. I'm thinking of guys like Darren Sproles. I think of guys like Reggie Bush. I think of guys like Alvin Kamara. Do you potentially see Jaleel McLaughlin or in that sort of similar, I don't know if it's a change of pace role, but like that receiving role in the future? Do you think he can evolve into that role, or is it just going to be an absolute mess with this backfield?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mess. It wouldn't surprise me if eventually Jalil ends up becoming like the pretty clear number two. I mean, I think he's already there, but it wouldn't surprise if like one of these guys somehow like gets benched, gets cut, traded, whatever it is, and then it becomes like much more of a clear two-headed backfield. And if that's the case, it's like it's much more bearable, but the team is still going to be so bad that it kind of doesn't matter. Like if it's still two guys, like you're not going to want to play either of them in fantasy. And I will say, like with this game and this team moving forward, I mean, I don't know if you were degenerate enough to be betting on the Broncos at plus 10.5. I was, and I hate myself for it. I mean, like I will say, like it was both the right side and the wrong side. Like they could have lost by 28 points. They could have lost by 8 points, and it just feels like a team that is going to be trading off players, a team that has a defense with 4 bad games and like 1 good game. I guess 5 bad games and 1 good game. A coach who can't remember what down it is, and a quarterback who like really cannot be trusted to throw at volume. It just feels like this is the kind of team where even if your number is showing value, it just feels so uncomfortable to be betting them.
Yeah, they're in the garbage with where I put the Chicago Bears, but after last week I kind of fished the Bears out. We'll leave the Broncos in there for now. Let's get right into our bets here, but before we do, I want to quickly remind everyone in the chat we will have a Q&A portion towards the end of the show. So if you want to hear from these guys right here, they're super sharp. Make sure you drop your plays, and if you want to hear their thoughts, let us know what you're playing, and maybe we can help you sway one way or the other here. Let's just get right into it, starting off bright and early with the London game. I love the London games, guys. Nothing like waking up early, making yourself a nice little coffee, getting yourself some breakfast, and then wedging yourself on the couch for the next 14 hours. The Ravens are taking on the Titans. Baltimore right now, minus 4.5 favorites on the neutral site. Total hovering around 41. Matt, you are eyeing a prop on the Ravens side. And honestly, when I saw this prop, I chuckled to myself because I'm like, never thought of playing this, but I love the angle that you're going for here, and I'm going to play this after the show. So tell us who you're looking at in this Ravens backfield and tell us more about this prop you like.
Yeah, this is the most disgusting prop that I have bet this year. There's like no question about it. It's not even close. I'm looking at Gus Edwards under 0.5 receiving yards. And the juice on this is minus 145 to minus 160 across the industry. I would bet it all the way to minus 200. And I know there are like people who don't like laying heavy juice. No one likes laying heavy juice, but it's a question of like where the value is. And if you just kind of look at what Gus Edwards has done throughout his career, he's played, let me make sure I have the right numbers here. He's played 62 career games, including the playoffs. He has gone under 0.5 yards on 74.2% of his games. Right. And if you look at like minus 145 odds, the implied probability there is 59.2%. So you would need to go under that more than 59.2% of the time to have the under be profitable. And Edwards has clearly cleared that mark, or fallen short of that mark rather, throughout his career rather consistently. You look at what he did last year, 10 games, only 3 targets in 10 games. He went over 0.5 yards just once in 10 games last year. You look at what he's done this year. 3 targets in 5 games. All 3 of those targets came in one game, and that was the game where Justice Hill was limited with an injury. So I'm not expecting him with Justice Hill back to be getting any targets in this game. And then here's the thing. Even if he gets targeted, that doesn't mean he's going to catch it. Even if he catches it, that doesn't mean he's going to have positive yardage. His ADOT is minus 2 yards this year. Like he could legitimately be targeted behind the line of scrimmage and get tackled. So I mean, burn your money, but just historically, this feels like the kind of bet where even it's, minus 145 odds, there's still significant value at this number.
Yeah. And that minus,
Jay,
go ahead, John.
Something that you and I talk about, because this is a really good point for anybody learning how to bet as these things become legalized. So Freedman, again, super sharp. Something I've battled with myself personally, Matt. Listen, I like to bet underdogs because I don't want to need to win all the time. But the math that you did really is very important for people. Matt does so much good work. You leave behind nuggets that need to be highlighted sometimes. Minus 145 is a 58% implied probability. It's an 80% outcome at least. And in the one game that Edwards got the 1 yard, it took him 2 pitches to get there, like Matt said. This is not even a guarantee if he gets a catch that he's going to get a yard. He might get a catch, lose 3, and then there's no way he's getting it. So that is really sharp, although kind of gross, but it probably in the best way, Matt. When I saw that, I bet it myself.
It's gross. There's no question. This is gross.
I didn't realize how bad. I'm not saying how bad he was in the run game, right? We know the Ravens carry the narrative to not throw to the backs, which we kind of have seen play out. But I didn't realize just how extreme. That's really extreme, right? Zeke Elliott didn't catch passes. He gets some passes. Derrick Henry doesn't catch passes. He gets some passes. Gus Edwards does not catch the ball.
Yeah, and I mean, I honestly was shocked that this was even offered. I thought that, like, if you're a book, why would you even offer this at this point? But hey, they're offering it, so we're going to take it. Let's stick with this game, though. John, you are liking something in London here. On the other side of the ball, though, sticking with the backfield, you're looking in the passing game. You're known for those reception ladders.
Yes.
So lay on us this reception ladder on the Titans side.
All right, cheerio. Come on, let's go to London. Give me Tajbi Spears over 2.5 receptions. It's at plus 115. So I love when the base rung of the ladder is at plus 115. And also I am Mr. Low expectations. 3 catches pretty easy. 5 games so far this year from the Titans. Tajbi Spears has outsnapped Henry 3 times and scored more fantasy points than him twice. Not that that's necessarily predictive, but it does show that he is kind of game script dependent. Again, Tennessee is an underdog. And if they go down early, they struggle to catch up with a lack of explosive in the pass game. Baltimore defense, top 10 in pressure rate, 38%. Top 10 in hurries per game, more than 14 hurries per game. We know that is also kind of conducive to running back catches. Tannehill has a better than 21% target rate to running backs on the year. Spears is 3rd on the team in receptions year to date. Go figure. 22% target per route run, 14% of the team target share. Those are, again, 3rd on the team, which it may be more of a statement on the lack of the aerials there. But anyway, 3 receptions, the number we're looking for in each of the last 3 games. I'm a little bit surprised this is at even money. 3 catches kind of feels like the floor from the pure, pass catching back in that. So, I'm going to go for the ladder also, Jay. You got to get a 10th on 4 receptions is at 320. He did that twice in the last 3 games also. So if you're getting plus 320 on something that's happened 2 out of the last 3 games, you really want to get in that stuff. And then just in case he squeaks that last one in garbage time, plus 725 on the 5th catch. So I love these ladders, and especially, like I said, when the base play is at plus money. Again, this is like the Freedman strategy stuff that really should matter, that we want to resonate with people. You set the bet that if the base play hits, the entire venture is profitable. Again, you take a 1/10 of a unit, $1 here or there to build up the progressive build. That way, if he gets those catches, man, it covers for bets in the future. So Tajbi Spears, give me 3 catches, Jay. Can we get a green check mark around here? I'm pulling my hair out, dude.
I know it's bad bounces galore. I was looking at
don't get me started on Pollard. I'll start tilting on live TV, man. I am so tilted. I cannot believe it. First drive out of the second half, we had the 3rd catch. The Cowboys didn't even have to start. Oh, I can't. I'm muting the mic. I'm muted.
All right. I just want to remind everyone, if you do want to see our bets that we are tracking live, we're using BetStamp. Excuse me. You can find us on BetStamp. Just search Forward Progress HQ, spelled Forward Progress right here. FWD Progress HQ. If you search that, you'll find our account over on BetStamp. Give us a follow. You'll see all of our bets tracked. We're tracking them in real time as we are doing this show live here. So tracking wise, John, I'm taking the over 2.5 receptions here on Tajbi Spears plus 115. I'm going to take the first rung at 70. Second run will be 10. Third rung will be 10 as well.
Yeah, that's cool. 7-2-1, 8-1-1. However, as long as we're being responsible and not over-levering on any one play. I know sometimes people misunderstand thinking a ladder means a unit on 1, a unit on 2. It's not 3 units. It's the same, whatever you were going to bet, that you're going to divvy up by percentage, compartmentalize it to make sure that it's a profitable venture with a kind of backdoor for progressive payout. That's
so I'm going to do... I love it. So 7-2-1 here for each rung of the ladder, and you can check it out on BetStamp. Jack, let's move over to you, and let's move over to the 1 o'clock games here. I mean, this seems to be one of the few 1 o'clock games on the slate. The Carolina Panthers going to Miami to play the Dolphins. I mean, the widest spread on the board, highest total. Weather seems to be looking good here. Always check the weather before you bet, guys. You don't want to end up like me with an over in an incredibly windy game like I did last night here. But Matt, so you're looking at someone on the Carolina side. Tell us who you like here and why.
Yeah, another disgusting bet here. That's really the theme for me for week 6. I'm going with Jonathan Mingo over 28.5 receiving yards. And he hasn't cleared this number in any game except for one. And he's played 4 games. So, history is not on our side. But if you look at the underlying numbers, he has decent volume, 6.5 targets per game. The thing is, his efficiency has been dreadful, just 4.3 yards per target. You figure that has to improve. this would be a decent spot for it to improve. The Dolphins are number 8 in most yards per pass attempt allowed. They're number 30 in defensive dropback success rate. And the Panthers are, as you mentioned, massive underdogs, 13.5-point road underdogs, which means, in my opinion of how this game unfolds, they're going to need to pass a lot. They're going to have a pass-heavy, hopefully wide receiver-friendly game script for a lot of the game. And there could be ample garbage time opportunities for Mingo. So he has at least 5 targets in every game. You figure with usage like that, as long as he's not absolutely dreadful, he has a pretty good chance of having over 28.5 receiving yards. I have the projection at 38. As I bet it up to 33.5, although you probably won't have to, but Jonathan Mingo over 28.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly mention here, the line, it looks like it's already creeping up a bit. We see some 30.5s on the board here. It's more widely available, so I'm going to lock in that 30.5 minus 15 if that's cool with you, Matt. So 30.5 minus 115 over 30.5 receptions, minus 115 for Jonathan Mingo here. There is a rogue 28.5 out there, minus 118, not as widely available, but if you want to go play that and you have the availability at that sports book, by all means, guys, please do so here. And I mean, Jonathan Mingo, like you said, it looks like the underlying numbers are trending up here for him. And I mean, hey, like I don't hate this play one bit. Let's move on. Let's go on to the 4:00 games here. We have Arizona heading into the Los Angeles to play the Rams. If it's a home field advantage, I don't really know in LA. Anyways, Jack, you're looking at someone on the Rams here. Rams right now 7-point favorites. Who do you like? You're going back to the longest reception under. Well, so who do you like here and why?
Yeah, I'm liking these longest receptions. But first, I mean, John brought up the Sunday Night Football and the tilting. I want to just rehash that last week I was on the show. I gave out Ayuk over 58.5, and you said you saw both 57 minus 115 and 58 minus 110. You asked which one I preferred. I said I'd probably have to check unabated, but we can just take the 58. He lands 58 and has a reception taken off the board to go over that on a penalty.
So I somehow feel responsible.
So I just wanted to put that out there for my own tilting purposes. But for my first play, I'm gonna go with Tyler Higbee under 15.5 longest reception. With Cooper Kupp back, we can expect his target share to fall. He's already only at a 14.3% target share on the year. Last week that was 8.1. His ADOT is only 7.5, and last week it was 2.3. So I think he's going to be getting fewer targets with Kupp back. I think he's going to be primarily getting underneath targets since it's not like he's a big downfield player. So I'm taking Higbee under 15.5 longest.
And we've been doing pretty well with these longest reception unders. It's always like a tongue twister in my brain to say that out loud here. But I mean, hey, I'm tracking that right now. Best price we have median price on the board right now, 15.5 under, minus 115 over there. So we're tracking that as a full unit. John, we're heading back to you and we're going back to this reception ladder here. You're looking at the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Chicago Bears. I mean, this looks like to be a bit of I don't want to call it, I guess, a throwing fest with both of these poor defenses. But, man, the Minnesota Vikings lost one of the best players in football in Justin Jefferson last week. And, John, you're looking to attack that in a certain way here. So tell us which receiver you're looking at on the Vikings.
I'm getting nervous because you listen, I cover content at The Athletic and in Hammer and stuff. I have not heard a single person mention this name, so I'm either going to look really, really smart or we're probably going to goose egg. Okay, we want to stick with Minnesota. Everyone is looking at KJ Osborne. Everyone is looking at Jordan Addison. We're going to go with Brandon Powell. Most people are saying, who? I got you. Hold on. Again, 2.5 receptions, Mr. Low expectation, so we're not going to need much to get across the finish line. Minus 125, again, really palatable. Check it out. Chicago pass D, we know it's objectively terrible. Bottom 2, EPA per dropback. Bottom 2, opposer passer rating allowed. Bottom 2, pass yards per game. They're also top 5 in zone rate, top 5 in too high show rate, which kind of manifests in that more than 25 completions allowed per game, right? So stylistically, it kind of makes sense. We've talked about this. They're going to play back. They're going to allow completions up front and then try their best and probably fail at tackling. Okay, I know. Justin Jefferson left. Tier for all the fantasy people. I get it. Powell's 16 routes after Jefferson left was a 90% route participation rate, which is very good. It was behind Osborne and Addison that had 20. However, working from a combination of wide and the slot. There was a mixture of combinations. I'm not sure. I haven't heard anybody mention this. Powell led the Vikings in things that matter. Targets, 5. Target per route, 31%. Receptions, 3. Receiving yards, 42. Yards per route, 2.6. And air yards, 70. Brandon Powell was the clear, leading receiver after Jefferson left. I don't know if that's going to pan out, but I know when everybody's running to the left, I generally kind of walk over to the right. And I think there's a chance. You mentioned a shootout. We're looking at a high volume of passes on both sides. We're looking at a really poor defense and a really low bar. I mean, we covered this prop in one half of the fourth quarter. So I think it's on board again. I don't know. This one, like I said, I really found out there on a limb. I was kind of Twitter searching Brandon Powell. I couldn't find a single thing. So give me Powell. And again, there's a really sick ladder if you can find it. That, these kind of guys, you're going to get 10 to 1 if he ends up with 6 grams. He could get 6 grams for 11 yards, and you're going to hit an 11 to 1, which is kind of sick. So give me Powell for 3 catches.
Yeah, sounds good here. So I'm going to lock that in for a full unit here. We're not looking at the ladder here, but I mean, I'm sure as the week goes on here, we're going to see probably ladders posted or the option to get those reception ladder posted. Matt, you wanted to mention something about Powell. I'm going to leave the floor to you.
Yeah, I have this projected at 2.9. So they're with John. The one thing that I will say does give me just a little bit of uncertainty with this, not to rain on the parade, but playing devil's advocate.
It should. No, it should.
The fact that the Bears, as terrible as their secondary has been, it has been injured, and they are getting back a number of their defensive backs, they could have 3 starters returning back to the lineup this week. So as bad as they've been, I don't know if we can project them to be as bad moving forward. And then there's also the weather element. So with weather games, there's just more room for chaos. So I'm projection wise, I'm with you, but the sort of the qualitative stuff makes me just a little bit nervous.
Well, I think when you mentioned it, I still feel very good about the 3. I think I feel less strongly about the 5. But again, 3 receptions, even a win game, right? We know that kind of in route short hook stuff he's running could be conducive to it anyway. But I'm with Freedman. Like I said, I feel good about it. I got him over 3 catches, but it makes me a little bit nervous. I just hadn't heard it. It felt really different.
Yeah, no, I like when we go different. And because also, again, I always say this, uncertainty benefits us way more than it does the books, right? The books have to set lines on almost everything. We don't have to play lines on everything, right? We get to pick and choose. And these are one of the areas where I think the uncertainty can play into our favor here. So I locked that in. Full unit reminder, you can find that on Forward Progress HQ if you search that on BetStamp. And one more thing before I get on to our next prop here, guys, don't forget to drop those plays in the chat. We'll be doing a little Q&A towards the end here. So if you want to hear from these guys, super sharp stuff here, and you're if you're back and forth on the fence on a play, please feel free to drop in the chat and we'll get around to it here. All right, 2 more props to go. And I kind of like to bucket each game, and I like to kind of build a flow for this show. And the theme for the last 2 games is revenge games, okay? So this one, we got the New England Patriots coming into Las Vegas, and we all know what the revenge game is here. Jimmy G playing his former team, playing against the Patriots, the man who drafted him, Bill Belichick, over there. Jack, you're looking at someone in this game, specifically Jimmy Garoppolo, but you're not going for that revenge game angle. You're saying the Patriots made the right move, but from moving on from him. So tell me which under you're smashing here for Jimmy G.
Yeah, I mean, this one will not be the most fun sweat in the world, but I'm going with Jimmy G under 4.5 rushing yards. He's gone over twice in 4 games this year, including he went under last week. He had 6 yards and then he kneeled twice to get to 4. So, that is always some equity we have on kneel downs. But in 2022, he only went over twice. And in 2021, he only went over twice. These are going to have the distribution is going to be such that the median is far below the mean. There's going to be a lot of outcomes under 4, but then there's going to be games with 10, 15, 20. And so I'm really just leaning on history here and betting that Jimmy G will remain the same player that he's been. The Raiders might call a sneak or 2 for him, but it's not like he's out there running read options. He's not a huge scrambler. So under 4.5 for me.
Yeah, and on top of that here, the Vegas Raiders are 3-point favorites right now. So again, Vegas is expecting them to win. You can hopefully get a couple kneel downs there towards the end here, locking that in full unit here. Jimmy Garoppolo, best price I can find. There's one rogue 110. I'm not going to play it. I want to play widely available numbers here. We're going to lock in the minus 120 here. And for the last game on the board, we have the Sunday night matchup. And I love the last 2 weeks right now. We've been playing these Sunday night football matchups, giving me something to sweat for this Sunday night football game because it is incredibly gross. We have a 15.5-point spread right now. It might be moving up here with all of these. There's literally a laundry list of offensive lineman injuries for the New York Giants here. The New York Giants playing the Buffalo Bills, and the theme of this game, you know what I said it last game, revenge game. Tyrod Taylor coming in playing his former team in the Buffalo Bills here. Matt, you're looking at something a little interesting. And when you brought up this prop, I always love to see the props in your process here because this number feels off to me. It feels a little low, and it makes sense why you're playing the over here. So tell us who you like in this game and why you're playing his over.
Yeah, Josh Allen over 25.5 rushing yards. It's popped up to 26.5. I think it's totally bettable there. I would say my cutoff is like 28, 29.5. I have it projected at 32. So I think there's still some room to run for this. Allen, I'll just like blanket statement. He has not been running nearly as much this year as he was last year. Like that's just evident in no matter what number you're looking at. 4 carries per game this year. 7.8 carries last year. So almost half of where he was last year. And if you look at his designed rush rate, it has plummeted. 7% designed rush rate this year, 18% designed rush rate last year. So just in terms of how they are intentionally using him as a runner, it is not nearly as much. But his scramble rate is basically the same. So whenever he's dropping back to pass, getting pressured, he's taking off at the same clip. So that is good. And his efficiency is intact. 6 yards per carry this year, 6.1 yards per carry last year. So he is still like Josh Allen as a runner. They're just not using him as much on designed runs. His rushing prop of 25.5, it is not just the lowest mark this year. It's also the lowest mark compared to anything that we saw in the market last year. So this is like the ultimate buy low opportunity on Josh Allen. And the Giants defense is number 3 in the league in blitz rate, 41.4%. But they're just mediocre in terms of pressure. So I think it's a situation where Allen is going to be blitzed, but the Giants aren't going to get home. And that's going to give him opportunities to scramble out of the pocket and pick up chunk yardage as a runner. And of course, Bills, massive home favorites. So there's an opportunity or the possibility rather that we lose this because Allen kneels down at the end of the game or Allen gets just game scripted out of the contest as a runner. But again, this number is just so low compared to what we've historically seen that it feels like for a runner of Allen's talent, you kind of have to take the opportunity. And of all the quarterbacks to face the Giants this year, the guy most comparable to Allen as a runner is Joshua Dobbs. He had 41 yards on just 3 carries against the Giants in week 2. So I feel like even if Allen gets just 3 carries, given the way that he will get those carries, probably scrambling the pocket and having a lot of room in front of him to run, I think even with 3 carries, he would have a good chance of hitting the over.
Yeah, fair enough here. And I could see a lot of situations where Josh Allen could just, like you said, scramble out there. If there's any 3rd and long, he could potentially get this in 1 or 2 plays here. And hey, maybe this game gets so out of hand, he hits that over that he's out of the game when they start kneeling here. So I love
Jay,
that.
one
John,
last thing, I think, and it's kind of in line with where Matt is going in, what you're saying as well, that it's that defensive package that the Jets are running out, that the Giants are running out, again, really lends itself to quarterback runs. It's the blitz, which he's absolutely right about. They also have to be top 3 in man coverage all the time. And a player like Allen, in particular, when he sees the back of jerseys, that's when you'll see him take off. So I don't even think you need necessarily to get this in one big chunk. I think Allen's going to get these on those 3rd and longs, like you're mentioning, Jay, because that's the Giants just refuse to get away from what they do. They kind of force man coverage on you and see how you're going to adapt. And I think that's one of the ways you're going to see it because Allen, again, is not afraid. He doesn't even need the numbers in his favor. He's a bulldog. So I really like that play because, again, if he sees the names on the back of a jersey, I think he's going to take off for the sticks.
Yeah, fair enough here. And that just about does it for us here, guys. Reminder, before we head out here, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. Again, if you want to get your plays in the chat, drop them right now. It's your last chance. Before we head out, though, there's something that I do want to mention. Matt, you sent one bet to me before the show, but I had to ixnay it because it is an incredibly I'm so shocked how off this line is compared to the rest of the market. And I'm going to take us back to this London game. It's Chig Okonkwo. I mean, his yardage total right now is sitting at 20.5. There's a book out there lined at 35.5. Guys, if you can go find this, I implore you all to go out. And if you have this sports book, I think you should bet it because it's just simply so off market here. We're not going to track it. It's way too off market to even consider here. But Matt, I don't know if you want to explain the reasoning other than it's just way off market, but you want to give us a little quick something here about Chigo Kwanko in that London game for the Tennessee Titans, why you're betting his under on receiving yards, or why you're looking at it at the very least.
Yeah, so my projection is 30, but I will say, like, I feel like my projection is probably high. Our official fantasy life projections have him at 16, and then like there's the difference between mean and median, that Jack mentioned earlier. If we just kind of think about how a lot of projections go, they tend to be based on medians. Means tend to be lower and more accurate. So I think there's even more room for the downside on Okonkwo. And, he hasn't gone over 35.5 receiving yards in any game this year. And, I think he's a talented player, but he's kind of hamstrung within that offense. There's only so much that a tight end can do with 4.4 targets per game, a median of 4 targets per game. And then last week he had a season low 58% snap rate. So, just even in terms of opportunities of being on the field, that has kind of trended down recently. So I think multiple reasons to be kind of pessimistic about Okonkwo.
Yeah, rogue book. I mean, if they're hanging a soft line like that, the under's at -130. I see 28, 27.5 at -120. That just screams to me, play that. So thank you. Sorry for putting you on the spot there, Matt. Thank you.
No, all good.
Thank you for letting me bring that one up here, guys. That wraps it up for us. You know the drill. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Guys, we'll be back here every single Friday covering props so that you can have a lot of fun on those Sundays. And a reminder, every Sunday live here at 11 p.m. Eastern, Rob Pizzola will be running through the live board pregame, going through his favorite bets on the board that are still available. So if you're sitting there on Sunday with nothing to bet on, first of all, what are you doing? Watch our content. We got tons of bets here. But if you end up to be in that situation anyways, Rob will be there. You don't have to worry about any line movement. He'll be playing things live for the pizza buffet. And then also at 8 p.m. after that Sunday slate is finished here, we're going to be live for Forward Progress. Rob Pizzola alongside Clive Bigsby. They take a look at week 7 lines, take a look at the opening lines and try and get some CLV in your account there so you can have some good bets heading into Sunday. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. For myself, for John Laghezza, for Jack Miller, for Matthew Freedman, this has been Forward Progress powered by Pinnacle on the Hammer Betting Network. Guys, good luck on your bets Sunday and we'll catch you later.